pregnancy. Well, you received the exciting news, but now what? What happens in the first trimester and what are some of the signs to expect? We're about to get discussing this and much more coming up on today's Women's AM. Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my dear sisters, and welcome to Women's AM. It's the show that brings you stories of interest, discussion, tips, and much more. We're live from our London studios, and in today's show, we have our roundup on the day's stories in News Bites. It's the first episode in our Mother and Childbirth Week, so we tackle the first trimester in her views, and we take a look at the life of a truly inspirational person in Inspirational Muslims. So we've got lots to get through, and it looks to be another lively show for you this morning. I'm your host Hassana, and here to help us in our discussion today is our Women's AM panel. So joining us today we have our regular sister Ayan, and our special guest today is sister Noreen Bukhari, who works in a women's centre. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you both doing today?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Well, sisters, this morning I wanted to ask you about World Hijab Day, because that's come about recently. What's your thoughts on it, sister Ayan?
I like it and I don't like it.
Okay.
I like it because, you know, it's got the right intention. It's trying to get people aware about, you know, that women who wear hijab aren't necessarily oppressed, and a lot of them who wear it out in the West are certainly not oppressed, and they're not doing it because of some sort of cultural, you know, thing where they have to wear it or else sort of thing. But then at the same time, it kind of trivializes the reason why we wear hijab, and it kind of goes back to women again being judged on their appearance rather than, you know, their character, their substance. So that's my yes and no answer.
Okay, interesting take on it. How about you, sis?
I think, alhamdulillah, I think it's originated from America, hasn't it? So I think where in the West, sometimes people have stigmatization and have myths around the hijab. It's good to raise the awareness and raise the profile of actually having a hijab day. So I think it's good in that aspect. And there are some countries in the West, for example, France, that have a different view on hijab. So I think it's good to raise the profile.
Absolutely. I think personally, you know, I agree with all of the points that you've said there. But I think also it's nice to see other sisters who are perhaps of different faiths try it on, because it opens up a dialogue and a conversation, doesn't it, about this whole hijab and what it feels like to actually wear it, and you know, the experience of having it on and kind of just spending a day in it. So I think it's a great idea. Well, let's go to our first segment of the show now. It's News Bites. In this segment, we take a look at the day's stories of interest and discuss what's been happening around the world. So, Sister Jan, you've got some interesting stories for us, don't you?
Yeah, this one is sort of ties in with our main segment, inshallah. It's from the Telegraph. I drank alcohol throughout my 3 pregnancies, but should I have done? So this is kind of coming in light because of new research that's saying that babies are being born damaged because their mothers have been drinking during pregnancy. And it kind of goes back to me for talking about, even though as Muslims we don't drink, but it goes back to having a balance. You know, when you're pregnant, obviously there's a lot of things that you can't have, or you have to have in moderation. And it goes back to kind of doing your research. You know, now your body is not your own. You know, so you're an incubator, so to speak. You know, you've got to be really careful about the things that you put into your body, because it goes to the baby as well. And it's pretty interesting because the doctor who's done the research here was saying that, you know, people tend to think that, you know, the limit on how much they can drink depends on the glass, but they don't really know how big the glass is, because he's talking about these jumbo-sized, you know, wine glasses that women are having, you know, their drinks in, and actually it goes way beyond sort of the limit that's been set. So again, going back to research, balance, and, you know, it's not just about us and, you know, wanting to, oh, you know, I'm tired at the end of the day, I want to relax, you know, what can I do to relax? You've got to find other things. It can't be what you used to do beforehand.
Absolutely. It's definitely a very interesting story, and we'd love for you to share your views on the stories that we're discussing. So you can call in live to the show. The number will be appearing on your screens very shortly, inshallah. Now, our second article, I've got one here. It's from Policy Mike. It's a really interesting one. And the headline is Street Experiment Reveals How Difficult It Still Is to Be a Muslim Woman in America. So this is quite an interesting story, and it's basically a social experiment that this person on YouTube has carried out, and I believe he carries out a lot of these different experiments. And what he did was he got a girl to put her hijab on, and they went to a public area, and he basically shouted abuse at her and just measured how people reacted to that, and he filmed it. Now the person behind it, Yusuf Erekat, he didn't really get the response that he was expecting. They were in a busy kind of college area, and when you watch the video, it's so interesting to see the different reactions that people have. Some people were walking past very, very quickly with their heads down. You know, they didn't want to kind of just be seen, or they wanted to get away from that situation as soon as possible. Others were kind of, you know, pausing, stopping, looking back. Should I say something? Should I not? There was that hesitation there. Other people actually, you know, this one person's reaction I found really, really, you know, quite nice. He actually walked up to this brother Yusuf, and he said to him, I don't know what you're doing. I will take you to wherever you need to go, but you need to stop what you're doing right now. And he literally kind of held him and walked with him away from the sister. And I thought, you know, what a fantastic thing to do. He wasn't kind of, you know, aggressive about it. He just kind of moved him away from it and told him, you know, what you're doing is not right. I thought it was quite interesting to see the different reactions there, and when they went back and interviewed the people and said, why did you react the way they did, the way that you did, it was, you know, it was nice to know some people were like, you know, even though I don't wear it, or I'm not a Muslim, I believe she has the right to wear it. So I thought it was quite an interesting article. Sister Ayan, we were talking about this earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, it's brilliant, and the thing is, it's such a shame that a lot of people don't say, whoa, hold up, when they see something wrong. And it's not even just the case with, you know, women who wear hijab, it's anything in life. Whenever you see something a bit dodgy going on, everyone just kind of runs past and think, oh, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to get involved. And it's nice to know that there are people out there who are still kind of saying no.
Absolutely. And Sister Noreen, we were talking earlier about the power of social media. This is definitely an example of that, isn't it?
Definitely. I think obviously what we have now available at the touch of a button is so powerful and it's so visible, and particularly the youngsters and even the elders, everyone actually has either an iPhone or some sort of device that they can actually go on. So I think, you know, it's very, very powerful to try and get that imagery across. And I think I definitely agree with you, sister, with regards to actually trying to stop something in the street when there's something bad happening. I think it's really encouraging that people are actually there to do that. And a lot of people are passive and they do like to walk by, but I think we need to be encouraged to stop that sort of thing if it does happen. And that's a prime example of that, really.
Definitely interesting social experiment. It does make me wonder how I'd react in a situation like that too. Sister Ayan, your next story, inshallah.
Yeah, I've got another one from the Mail Online. A student turns cruel anonymous messages about her selfies into a powerful art project. So this, for me, there's two things for me in this article. One was, go on, girl, you know, the fact that she didn't let all that negativity get to her, and she thought, you know, I'm going to make some sort of you know, message. I'm going to get a message across through the negativity. And the second thing was, I found it really, really sad that, you know, people just feel because, you know, the internet is an anonymous place, that they can kind of, you know, spout of abuse towards a person that they don't even know. You know, things that they were telling her, like, oh, you know, you're ugly, you're horrible, things like that. It's really, really demeaning and absolutely uncalled for. And, you know, it's just sad that people don't, you know, think about, you know, what are the consequences of what I'm saying. I mean, you might not necessarily be caught now for what you've done, but the thing is that how as a person can you be abusive towards another person? Alhamdulillah, I think to myself, you know, as Muslims, we know that we're accountable for everything that we say and do, whether that's in public or in private. I think in today's day and age, a lot of that is missing because it's just so easy to kind of do things and get away with it.
Absolutely. Well, we'd love to hear your take on this story, so do call in, inshallah. The lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. I've got another story here from Reuters, and this one is sisterhood shown to be a powerful incentive at women's gyms. I found this article really, really interesting. It's about women's-only gyms, which are kind of the new rising trend, and it basically discusses one particular gym, which is in Manhattan. And the owner of the gym, Leanne Shear, she's a trainer and founder of Uplift Studios, and she talks about the reason why she decided to have this women's-only gym. And she said her studios actually attracted women from all different age groups, and she discusses this whole concept of a gym. And I found it quite interesting because she says when you go to the gym, often you find that men are quite competitive, you know, what's the biggest weight that we can lift and things like that. And women, when they're in that environment, they actually sometimes could feel a little bit less kind of, feel a bit inferior, I suppose. due to the competitive nature. Whereas when women go to the gym, there's often a social element to it. They're kind of networking, they're meeting up with their friends, they're taking part in classes and things like that. So she said to cater to women's needs, you know, you do need their own kind of space and environment. And I thought it was interesting that she said she sees women's-only venues as a place where women are free to work their hardest without feeling self-conscious or trying to impress the opposite sex. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Because, I mean, you know, it's difficult for women, especially if you're a Muslim woman and you've got the kind of restrictions of being in a kind of a co-ed gym, whether that would work for you and things like that. So I think it's opening up a discussion, really, about this whole concept. Sister Ayan, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm all for it. Women's gyms, yay!
Yep.
No,
I thought you might say that.
Yeah. No, the thing is that you do get sort of that sexual tension as well in gyms, and I'm sorry to say this, I don't want to sound like I'm being one-sided, but men do ogle women, especially if they're doing classes and things, and it's not really nice to feel like you're being watched and stared at while you're trying to do something like, I don't know, get fit and get healthy. It's really off-putting, yeah, and I can understand why women would go to a women's-only gym, definitely.
It's just about comfort as well, isn't it? Because, you know, when you're in a women's-only environment, there is a kind of a level of just kind of relaxing and not worrying about the opposite sex and things like that. So I think definitely there is kind of some element of comfort there as well. Sister Noreen, what's your thoughts on this?
I think definitely. I think with regards to be self-conscious, I think you're absolutely self-conscious if you're in a mixed gym. You have, like you said, you know, having men looking at you, and it does definitely put you off. And I think when you're going there with a mindset to try and get fit, I think you just want to concentrate on that. And I think, you know, having an environment where you can do that comfortably, it always helps. So,
absolutely.
you know, if the women-only gym, definitely. I mean, we definitely have women-only environments where I come from and where we exercise. I mean, more women actually tend to go to those types of gyms.
Alhamdulillah, I think, you know, it's positive as well, because obviously we know in Islam there is the rules and you know, we have regulations in place in terms of interaction with the opposite sex. So seeing a women's only gym means that Muslim women actually do have access to fitness and to exercise classes and things like that, which is really, really great to see.
It removes a lot of the barriers that women face. So having maybe a mixed environment might be a barrier for some women. They might not necessarily want to go and exercise, but having a women in their environment, obviously they'll be more relaxed to actually go to that.
Yeah, and it opens up that whole you know, platform for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Just to give it a twist, the fact that when you're in a women's only gym, you don't have to cover up as a Muslim woman. So then it's quite nice that when you have conversations with women who see you uncovered, you know, while you're at the gym, and then all of a sudden you come out the changing room and you're wearing your hijab, and they're like, what? They do a double take. That's you. It's quite nice because then they see you as a person and not just, you know, oh, that's just some Muslim woman who's all covered up, and they think, oh right, yeah, she's like me. She's totally normal.
It's quite interesting. You're right, absolutely. Your final articles.
Oh yeah, this one I found absolutely hilarious. It's from BBC News. My Day, wedding proposal planner Anne Fong. So it's about this woman, Anne Fong. She started up this new business in Hong Kong where she is a proposal planner. So we've gone beyond...
Proposal planner?
Yeah, it's gone way beyond than wedding planning. Now it's about having that special, you know, proposal, because this is sort of something new in the market. No one's done it before, and men are having a hard time coming up with, you know, special romantic proposals. And they need help with that, you know.
Wow.
So this woman decided, I'm going to help them do that, you know.
What an interesting idea. I don't know, you know, how feasible it is, but there you go, she's doing it. So Jazakallah khair for that interesting selection. We're off to a quick break now, but